Hello and welcome to Talking Bottom Holy.
Merry Christmas!
Merry Christmas!
This episode is the Christmas episode, originally broadcast on the 29th of October. Well done, BBC. I'm Matt Brooks.
I'm Ange Johnson.
And I'm Paul Tanter.
Holy, not the only holiday-themed episode, but the one they can get the most money out of, I guess. Because, like Christmas movies, they show off nearly all the time, right? Or every Christmas.
This is the one that I think gets repeated as a one-off more than any of the others. But this one I've seen numerous times on Christmas.
Christmas specials. That's every year they become relevant. And to me, Christmas isn't Christmas if I haven't watched Holy.
Yeah, same here. This was very much a mainstay of growing up in the 90s in my house. I remember periodically every year putting this on. In my early teens, when I was able to actually get up early before my family, I'd go downstairs and put this episode on and watch it. Then in my later teens, when of course you find it difficult to get out of bed, I'd come down after everyone and still insist on it being put on. This, in my house, was as much of a mainstay at Christmas as Noel Edmonds' The Queen's Speech and the Bond film.
Really? Okay. Well, I don't know if I insisted on it being every Christmas day itself, but my brother and I would definitely watch it at some point around Christmas. Or we'd just quote it incessantly.
There were several years in my house where I wake my sister up by yelling 8:30 and all's crap, but making sure I timed it for 8:30.
Oh, really? Wow,
Yeah.
Okay, dedicated.
Okay, so the iTunes synopsis is thus. Richie and Eddie celebrate Christmas by inviting Spudgun and Dave Hedgehog around for Christmas dinner and a day of fun and games. After a knock at the door, Richie finds a baby left on their doorstep and becomes convinced that he's come face to face with Jesus. ... And that's it. That's the synopsis.
I'm sure he thinks
pretty
that.
far into the episode there,
It does,
doesn't it?
yeah.
The baby thing, he does.
He thinks it's the second
coming of Jesus.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's a reincarnation, isn't it? So the episode starts with a close-up of one of those tape recorders that everyone seemed to have.
But with dying batteries in it, which I think is a wonderful detail.
Well, yeah, it's like he's used that every year and hasn't changed the batteries, so it's just that's all he does with it.
So this is the best look inside Eddie's room we ever get, I believe. We saw it a little bit in the last episode. Now we see all his QPR stuff on the wall and various bits of crap and some cobwebs. Weirdly, there's a hairdryer hanging by his bedside.
Eddie's bedroom, there's a wonderful assortment of what looks like stolen items. Stuff like lights from roadworks, signs stolen from walls and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's a great kind of menagerie of absolute shit.
Think what he's picked up pissed on the way home from the
Yeah.
pub?
I guess so, yeah.
Undoubtedly.
Also, he's asleep with his hands over his ears in preparation for Richie coming in, because I'm sure this is a yearly occurrence.
Well, you get the feeling he must sleep like that every night.
Yeah.
Even though this is particularly early.
I love the level of detail in this room. You can see that the production designers have really gone into a lot of effort with this grimy, shitty room, which also has a functioning fireplace, I noticed.
Yeah, well, there's a fireplace in Richie's room as well, isn't there?
But
it
this
doesn't work.
But
Is it function? How is it? It's not on, is it?
So I did wonder this. I noticed when Richie comes in with the presents, there's a sort of orange glow on him, so they presumably needed something as a light source in there so it wasn't all dark. When you're in the wide, you can actually see the fire has fire in it.
Well, they wanted a fireplace to hang the stockings over, I suppose.
Yeah.
Right? What's your opinion on this? Is what Richie's doing kind of sweet? Or is it a more selfish, weird thing? Because he is giving himself all the presents and none for Eddie, so he's making a show of it. But the amount of effort he's going into, I think there's something sweet there, but he just can't help himself, wanting his ego boosted and stuff.
Yeah, I think it's the wife / he's a child / he wants Christmas to be Christmas and all the traditions that go with it. So it starts off with the setup of the presents, the stockings, and the idea that Santa's been, and he's just so excited, isn't he? I think it's genuine. I think it's that Richie can't contain that sort of joy for life on Christmas Day, whereas Eddie's obviously the grumpy teenage / husband who wants to just stay in bed and wish it wasn't happening because it's such a boring thing for him.
I agree that it's sweet, but also I think he's doing it totally because he's selfish. Well, he's like the kid who wakes the parents up at 4:30 in the morning saying, come on, get up, it's time for Christmas.
Yeah.
And the parents are having none of it, and that's Eddie in this instance. It's interesting what you said about it's the wife and husband thing. They both flit in this episode between being a pair of kids at Christmas and a married couple at Christmas. So Richie kind of, at the beginning, has that youthful exuberance of, oh, Santa's been... Because they're in a house where there's only the two of them, he then also has to do the mum thing of, well, I've prepared the stocking here as well, and also I've got all the food in it and that kind of thing. His whole opening scene is all about selfishness because he wants to celebrate Christmas now. All Eddie wants to do is sleep. Eddie's probably still drunk from the night before, sleeping off a hangover.
Yeah, but coming in dressed as Santa... And knowing that every year Eddie's going to have laid a booby trap, and the fact that he still does it.
I get the impression this is the first year it was a booby trap, though.
Yeah.
That's why
that elaborate.
Yeah.
I think it's definitely not been that elaborate
It's
before.
a weird close-up when he picks up the bottle of sherry and the button, like the trigger release thing.
It's
close-up of that.
It's deliberate to let the audience know something's about to happen, isn't it? Yeah.
I really like the beard as well, like grottily dirty.
Again, a great detail of this opening scene, Richie's horrible bad Santa outfit. Probably got stuffed in the back of his wardrobe when he brings that once a year, stinks, probably stole off a drunk Santa one time out of a department store or something like that.
Oh god, yeah, or it's just been in the family for years or something and it's never been washed, certainly. I think Eddie's probably set this up particularly this year, but I think he'll have always had something there lying in wait to sort of give Richie what for. But this is the best that he's ever done, presumably, because Richie does it. But he does say once he's then hanging, doesn't he? Like, don't know why I bother saying thing
every year the same.
It does. Okay, you're right. Yeah, it does seem so surprised and like there's real panic and fear, and it was really justified because a fucking noose falls around his neck, which is so harsh, so harsh.
Yeah, we've said a lot of times it's the cartoon element.
Yeah.
And this scene is absolutely embodies that, doesn't it? Like the rake hitting him in the face.
It's a rake and a boxing glove, and then the noose, right? Is that like he's got
but even then, it's like an Acme character kind of thing that comes down, doesn't it, as the counterweight? It's sort of like, is it a kitchen sink?
I think it's a dentist chair.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's weird.
This whole opening sequence has things that kind of put me in minds of cartoons, such as the boxing glove, the crossbow, classic slapstick, such as the rake, things like kids' adventure things, such as a candle burning a string to release something at a predetermined time, then ending with such absolute total darkness, the lynching of a helpless man dressed as Santa Claus.
Yeah, tied up with two crossbows that fire in perfect timing and everything. Hands down, it's very impressive, and even more so when you realise he's drunk a whole bottle of sherry.
Yeah, it actually shows that Eddie's very... Well, I don't want to say intelligent, but he's thought this through and he's actually quite handy, isn't he?
Cunning.
It's interesting that Richie doesn't really drink much in the show because obviously Eddie's been at it first. I mean, obviously they have the pints in the pub, or half pints of mild in the pub. But the fact he goes straight for the sherry, I mean, obviously that's what Santa does as well.
And he's so excited to go for it as well. Like this is his one yearly treat. This episode to me seems like a very fast-paced episode of a series of set pieces that anchor the episode that are linked by good dialogue. You go from Santa to presents to turkey to the cut finger to the guests' dinner, charades, baby Jesus, the mother of God, Mr. Harrison. Yeah. It's almost like a series of brilliant sketches that are kind of linked through the theme of Christmas.
Well, it's interesting you say that because this episode has 2 deleted scenes as well.
That's very true.
And yet you don't really notice that they're gone. In the uncut version, the one that was broadcast, Richie doesn't give Eddie a present, and he makes such a big thing of the present with Eddie. That's weird. You didn't pick up on that before, right?
No, I have to say, when I first, and obviously watched it for many years afterwards, it never occurred to me that Richie doesn't actually reciprocate the present giving. But then when you actually cut to the next scene, noticing it now, like he is stood in the picture.
Yes. That's something I never ever noticed.
There's no way that I ever picked up on that when I first... But now watching it, it's really obvious that he's stood in the middle of a frame with a picture all around him. But
so, in case people don't realise, you can get this on the DVD, I believe, has the uncut version. You can also find the 2 clips that are removed on YouTube. Richie gives Eddie a present, which is an oversized picture that's not for Eddie, it's for Richie, because
it's a self-portrait.
He opens it himself as well, which is like an excitement. And it holds up, and I don't know. I'm kind of glad that got cut. I don't think the picture looks shit enough. It looks a bit cartoony. I think it would look more surreal with Richie. I don't know. It's all a little bit...
I can see why it was written for the bollocks joke.
Yeah.
That's a great gag.
The bollocks joke is a great gag.
Yeah.
I always found it took me 15 minutes to paint that less of a funny gag, you know?
I like the "You're a Philistine, Edward Hitler."
Yeah.
That early bit, like, it's very Richie. But you're right, like the payoff of it took me 15 minutes to paint that isn't like, you can see why it was cut to time.
I was telling that when we viewed it for the first time, no one sort of missed that particular scene. You weren't left sitting there watching it going, I feel like something's been cut out.
Yeah, it's interesting though, isn't it, that they both drew something because they've got no money.
Yeah, it's true. They're both homemade presents.
Eddie's is literally a very, very crap, crude porno drawing at the end of a used toilet roll.
That had never occurred to me, actually.
And
yeah.
Richie's obviously gone all out, but with a huge frame, and done a picture of himself, because what more would Eddie want for Christmas?
Oh my God.
I like those extra bits, but you're right, it doesn't take anything away from the episode to have removed them.
Richie giving what will be that day's Christmas dinner as a series of presents very much puts me in mind of the relative, or indeed mum, when she gives you things that you need rather than you want for Christmas.
Absolutely. It's to the nth degree, though, it's consumable food.
Christmas dinner.
It's weird, yeah. Individually wrapped sprouts. I find that really funny.
Did you ever wrap up a sprout for you?
No,
Sibling?
but I did make a play telescope for my friend's 18th birthday, I believe.
Yeah.
With that picture?
Well, yeah, with a picture. Like, you never see the actual picture in it, so I just made my own how it's described. It's described so well by Eddie, isn't it? You get a really nice camera move as well with the focus pull of his hand and demonstrating the perspective
you can
of the wave.
really see what it is he said. And then when it's the speech bubble. And,
Yeah.
How many times have you said "thick earth"? You sad
Loads,
pathetic
yeah.
wanker?
Yeah, a few
Lots.
times. Now, what's your opinion on this? Is it Richie can't read? Is it Eddie can't spell? Or is it a bit of both where the handwriting's so atrocious?
I think definitely can't spell, because whenever Eddie tries to write anything new, is always a bad speller. Demonstrated later with the Eddie is great over the wall, and it's done in the live shows as well, isn't it?
Yeah,
with
sure.
Eddie's bra.
Edie's bra. Yeah, you don't often see what he's written. A lot of times it's Richie reading it, but yeah, the times you see it, I guess.
That's true. I mean, I suppose when he was writing in the gas man's pocketbook, we don't know whether he was misspelling that.
Yeah, he reads it out pretty.
Yeah,
he's literate. He can read and write.
The giving of the presents is them flitting back from husband and wife back to kids, isn't it? With Richie complaining about the size of the present that he's got from Eddie. Those two together in that scene are what Christmas would be like if kids were around with no adults around them. Then later, Richie becomes mum cooking while Eddie's dad trying to escape the housework and just drink. And then, of course, later on when the baby turns up, they go back into their classic couple relationship.
Now, why does Richie masturbate to Cosmopolitan? Now, I assume it's because he's ashamed to buy porn.
What exactly is Cosmopolitan in terms of a magazine?
Well, it's a lifestyle magazine. It'll give tips and stuff, but it will have
you read it,
orgasm
Matt?
tips. I have read one in a doctor's waiting room or something like that, and I read it because of what I'm like, oh, it's one.
I've read Cosmo. Yeah. I've not bought it regularly.
So it's like a women's magazine with tips and stories and things.
We'll have
It's a women's mag.
stories, but no pictures.
It's aimed at younger women.
Anything saucy in it at all?
Similarly to how we can get off to the lingerie kind of catalogues and things.
Mate,
There'll be models with fashion, etc.
So I think it might be the first mention of Malibu. They mentioned Malibu a few times. When we met Angela, she had a bottom quiz, but we've already mentioned this. The grand prize was a miniature bottle of Malibu. I still have it.
That was part of your prize.
That's the only one
Yeah,
I want.
3 pints as well.
It doesn't sound like it would be a grand prize.
Yeah, no, that took ages to source, because not a lot of places do miniatures, let alone miniatures of Malibu.
Oh, really?
They cut, of course, to saying 7 a.m, 27 hours to go. That's
Yes.
where it comes back in, doesn't it?
That is right, yeah.
The picture frame.
Which is only half an hour after the previous scene, because it's 6:30 on the clock in the last scene.
episode,
The 27 hours bit gets a really gentle chuckle from one audience member. It sounds like it's like a misfired joke. It's odd. Yeah, so Richie's kind of in charge for a lot of the episode just because no one else wants to be, you know? And he does show his true colours. He turns on a sixpence with this, doesn't he? With God, I hate Christmas. With just one little thing goes wrong, and he's furiously angry straight away.
But that is the line that most people are treading on Christmas Day, aren't they? Like, because there's so much to do. You're trying to enjoy yourself, and then suddenly something will just make you go, God, I hate Christmas. I love the detail of God, I hate Christmas as well.
Yeah, religious holiday.
When it's all going right, his youthful exuberance really comes out. You see it later on when he's loving his Christmas jokes, and then later on when there's people banging at the door, again, it's back to absolutely fucking hating it because everything's going wrong.
It's weird that Eddie kind of bothered to make him a present. In a way, I guess he'd have just gone. We wouldn't have heard the end of it. He didn't give him anything.
Yeah, that's the.
But there was there's quite a lot of thought went into it, even though it's something that kind of makes fun of Richie in the end. It's someone who he likes telling him to fuck off.
Yeah.
So there's something nasty there as well. But it's also something you'd be interested in. Oh, look, it's Sue Carpenter in a bikini.
Richie's so pathetically grateful for that gift, isn't he?
Yeah.
Afterwards. I wonder what she means.
Well, it just backfires, doesn't it? The insult doesn't work because Richie couldn't write it
so
properly.
Stupid.
Do you think before coming downstairs fully dressed, Richie pops off for a wank with his play telescope?
I don't know, they've only had half an hour.
So he'd have done it like 60 times in that time, right?
Oh, that's true. Yeah, it doesn't take him long, does it?
His treatment of the turkey, I think, is quite a nice little sort of comment on Christmas.
Season of goodwill.
And it's a full mouthful to deliver all of that stuff, but he does it so well. But it's actually a really nice kind of comment on, we're at Christmas, we're all supposed to treat each other well, so this is what I'm going to do to this turkey. Denigrate it and destroy it. Shove an onion up its arse.
Yeah.
Isn't the neck really stretching when he's holding
It's
it
got
there?
its head still on as well, wasn't it? Which looks creepy.
That isn't a real bird, is it? That's got to
I
be
don't
a
know.
prop.
I don't know. I thought
You
it was
reckon
real.
it is?
Logically, I'd say it is a real one because they don't need to do anything weird with it, and to make a fake turkey would be a lot more money than buying a turkey. Now, Richie's really into his puns this episode, all the stuffing, what lovely bird things, but when Eddie's kind of joining in with the cracker jokes, you know, he's asking, do you have any crackers? And Eddie's making double entendres. Richie's getting really angry for something like, not overly angry, an exaggerated one, but he just looks really frustrated, like a genuine
And yet,
Because
annoyed
he's
one.
not making the jokes, is he? And he
Yeah.
just wants to know the genuine answer to the question.
this is a very double entendre laced episode, as has become more of the episodes through series 2. But with this one, it's done kind of acknowledging that they're cheesy and Christmassy, which kind of allows for it. Crackers, Magnificent Bird, Scrub My Sprouts, all very based around the time of year.
Yeah.
Everything they could ever want to do about Christmas, they've channeled into one single episode. Whereas any other episode is about general things. This one, anything Christmassy, it goes in here, and then that's it. We're done with that.
Yeah, that's it. And Richie, again, with the English traditions, he's all over it, isn't he? He knows exactly how Christmas should be happening, and that's how he wants it to happen. Even though he's got no skills whatsoever in the kitchen, and he's desperately trying to impress when Spudgun and Dave turn up, and all of those things, the pressure of hosting. But yeah, all they've got is gravy to serve them because Eddie's drunk the brandy.
Every time he's questioned on if he's drunk something, is a well-timed hick. Every time. It's like, why aren't you hicking before? You've already drunk it. There's a line in this episode where I'm not 100% sure the origins of it, but the line is, Eddie, you are funnier than Jonathan Ross. A little bit of a dig at Jonathan Ross. Now, I've always believed that this is a little bit of a dig to Jonathan Ross because of a interview that the two had with him. Have you guys seen this?
No.
I think I've seen this. I think it's on YouTube. They are plugging the first series of Bottom, and the clip that they show is the bathroom fight.
That's correct, yeah. Rick Mail's got like a really weird cardigan on, and his hair's really long. He's looking really quite handsome as well. He's used to what he looks like as Richie, you know, a big sweaty mess. And Eddie's got hair. Aid has hair, so it's a little bit weird. But
am I remembering it correctly that they show the clip, and then one of them remarks that's the only thing we didn't record in front of the audience? Something
yeah,
like that.
they do.
What does Jonathan Ross do then?
Yeah, so did Jonathan Ross piss them off in this?
Yeah, he's really condescending. There's something you can't quite put your finger
surprise
on
me
it,
there.
and it just rubs them up the wrong way a little bit. They like start non-ironically comparing their work to Beckett, and he's not having any of it. It's like,
Right.
you poo fart jokes and stuff. It's like, yeah, well, there are actually fart jokes in Beckett. They talk about Waiting for Godot. Right, there's inconsistency with what we've been saying. I thought they did Waiting for Godot and then did Bottom.
Right.
But in this, they've obviously done at least one series of Bottom, and then Jonathan Ross says, you're doing Waiting for Godot at the moment, aren't you?
Oh, really?
Yes, and they say yes. Now, maybe this is a repeat of the show or something. Maybe they'd done it once before, but I'm confused now. So I thought...
Maybe they were still doing this show. Maybe it was a long run. I wonder if maybe they had done Waiting for Godot on maybe a regional tour, something like that, and then finally at this point it was landing in London, maybe.
It was at the Wyndham's Theatre, I know.
Okay, stage shows can go on for a while, can't they?
Yeah, absolutely. They might have done it for quite like a longer length of time than a just one run in London. As you
I'd
said.
have loved to see their version of it. It's so annoying to me that there's not a recording of it at all in existence.
There is a little bit of something, isn't there? But it's
There's
not.
it's
show.
rehearsal. It's rehearsal footage, yeah.
How far in advance of Richie swinging down that meat cleaver was it obvious that he was about to cleave some part
You
of his
hear
body
them
off?
laugh before the thing comes down. You hear someone
Yeah.
go, "Oh!"
Yeah.
It's
An
very,
audience.
very obvious, and also he's not chopping anything.
No, he's not.
He's not got anything there on the board to be about to chop, is he?
He's practicing his
Unless
chopping.
it's meant to be the top of this turkey's head, which is halfway across the kitchen.
It's admirable how Eddie manages to get out of doing any of the cooking by using house tools to try and peel the potatoes.
It's not working either, is it? It's
a
a sander or something, isn't
I
it?
think it is a sander or a buffer, I don't know.
Yes,
but that's
it's a
the
buffer.
classic move of do something badly and then you won't be asked to do it.
But it actually looks like it would work. He was
doesn't,
taking
though, does
part
it?
of the peel off.
No, it doesn't. I don't think any of the peel comes off.
I think a little bit comes off.
They're the wrong potatoes, aren't they? They're too big.
They are.
It's like essentially they're baked potatoes,
They are, yeah.
which you don't have at a roast dinner. You have roast potatoes. Yet another thing they fuck up.
Richie lops his finger off. Great fake gag prosthetic on the end of the finger while we're doing this blood gag of it spurting out. Later on in the episode, terrible fake finger, but poking off at a comedic fashion. They do the blood gag in another series in the Halloween episode, but in this one, it's so well done. That blood coming out and Rick Mail's terror on his face, the abject, absolute
It's a real genuine, justified in this.
When
He's
he
not
said-
overreacting here.
And
That's
what's
proper
so
bad.
brilliant is how underwhelmed Aid is.
He's
Well,
so
Eddie
calm,
is.
isn't he? So
Yeah.
calm and so stupid. He's not noticing the blood spraying everywhere.
Really, really just playing that sort of, ooh, that's a bit of a nasty nick, which people do say when you've just cut your finger. I haven't got anything to dial the ambulance with, whereas most friends would obviously run over to the phones themselves to
That
call the
annoyed me
ambulance.
as a kid. I'm like, well, first of all, you've got another hand and other fingers, and yes, Eddie can dial.
Well, also not to nitpick Richie, but when you say I haven't got anything to bloody well die with, you use the index finger of your other hand to mime it.
Is he holding his wrist because he's directing the blood? Is that why he's got to hold
I
that
don't know.
wrist
The
there?
finger that's off is also a lot thicker as well
It
because
is,
it's the
yeah.
finger that's folded over. I know it's not real. It's fine.
In terms of just the way it's directed and performed, the way he slowly brings it up into frame to reveal it, it's very good.
Yeah, and that makes you think that he's having to control the wire or whatever it is that's coming out of it. And I feel like he's holding his wrist with the other hand because he has to kind of direct it in some way.
He would direct the arcing jet of the blood, but there would be someone off camera who would be pumping it through.
Yeah, and then the tourniquet, when it does start
It's
going down.
slowly going down. It's so weirdly sweet because Eddie's sort of helping. He sort of thinks he's helping.
Yeah, he's
I don't
finally
know.
thought, oh, all right, well, this is easy enough to just strangle Richie.
It's great how Richie just seems to manage to just eke out enough strength just as he's about to expire, just to get the punch in on Eddie, just to get him clear.
The camera work that's gone into that to get that shot like that, and they must have had to do that in one take because actually they don't redo Rick slightly mispronouncing the word chopped.
Yes,
Right.
that's.
Doesn't he?
No, he says.
He says, "I've just copped my finger
Copped,
off."
yeah,
But
cross
Aid-
between cut and chopped.
Yeah, Aid doesn't miss a beat and carries on because obviously if they fuck up that, then
Yeah.
the whole thing's ruined, presumably for the audience and everyone.
I always assumed it was a continuity thing, that they wanted to try and avoid a continuity error, that presumably the director had said to him, don't get the blood on your shirt. I would have thought it would have been tempting, just for the visual effect of it, for him to spray the blood all over his white shirt and his face, because he changes later on anyway. You see him in his slightly more finer wear. I did wonder whether Richie changed his clothes because they had indicated that he's had this accident, therefore he's changed because he got blood on him, or whether Richie thought, we're into Christmas now, I'm putting on my slightly finer wear.
Can we talk about vodka margarine?
We certainly can.
That's such a bottom-ism, isn't it? That is, it's a fake product. Almost.
Yeah.
So if you sold it, I think people would buy it
Well-
and be repelled by its taste.
I always assumed it was a slight wordplay on vodka martini.
No, it's brandy butter.
you think?
What do you mean?
Well, so you've got brandy butter that you smear on Christmas pudding or whatever it is to light it, which
Okay.
Eddie has created his own product called vodka margarine, but I always assumed it was a bit of a thing that sounded a bit like vodka martini.
That's the spirit that they
Okay.
had in, that it's vodka and then margarine is obviously a substitute for butter.
But of
Yeah.
course, it's not vodka margarine; it's hairspray margarine.
As well, yeah.
And isn't it great that Rick's like disgusted
loves that.
look?
He
It's
loves
like
the
that.
idea.
First, it looks
Yeah.
like he's disgusted, and it's like that is brilliant.
Anyone who's ever walked into a cloud of hairspray after someone's been spraying it on and has got it on their tongue will recognise that look on Richie's face as one that they put as well. It's bitter and disgusting.
Again, why has Eddie got hairspray?
Yeah, just for the food. Yeah, go make everything Christmassy. I like the logic behind a shortcut of just spraying his glasses with snow.
Yeah, now everything I see is Christmassy and snowy.
Yeah, he sprays QPR on the wall as well. For
Yeah.
no real reason.
And actually, he sprays his glasses just before Richie chops his finger off, doesn't he?
Maybe.
Because there is actually a little bit of forgiveness there for Eddie not quite realising what Richie's done at first, because his
Right.
glasses are still a bit foggy, aren't they?
He puts his finger back on with a staple gun. you don't see a thing. You just see the bottom angle of a table and Richie's face. It's all sold in the sound effects and reactions. It's horribly violent.
It's a really interesting angle, that, isn't it? Because obviously it's to get them both in and the table, and as you say, to avoid us seeing.
And so he can pull the table without us seeing that his finger is already stapled to it.
Yeah.
It's that same approach that horror movies use of don't show the person, just insinuate it, use it with sound and people's faces and that kind of thing. And in that way, it's even more horrific if you don't see it, because you just imagine it.
Yeah, you can feel it, can't you? You can actually feel those staples going in. And that's a precursor to, obviously, the idea of Eddie sewing, and then in the third series when they sew his legs backwards and all those sort of things.
A bit get your needle out. I thought it felt like, well, there's a pun there that never happened.
Right, okay.
So get your needle out, well, and there's no knob joke.
If Eddie had made a knob joke, though, it would have been insinuating that he himself
dick.
had a small penis.
Needle dick. So I beg your pardon.
And as we all know, he's Chopper Hitler.
After he passes out from the pain, that's when the second deleted scene comes. It starts with a close-up on the wonky finger.
Right.
Which I always thought it was more of a throwaway gag. I felt like they kind of did need a close-up of it, which isn't in the full episode.
I think in the cut episode, it works well as a throwaway gag. It's one of those
just
things.
Notice it slowly. Like, hang on, what's going on there?
I mean, you notice it very visibly when he opens the door to Spudgun and Hedgehog.
Sure.
But the fact that it's never really referenced, I think, is kind of cool.
So what happens in the deleted scene is Eddie sets up the Christmas tree, little small one, and it catches fire with the exact same layer fire effect that is for the Christmas pudding.
Thank you, Peter Ragg, again for that.
Yeah.
Then they throw it out the window, and Eddie shuts Richie's severed finger in the door, not cutting it off again, but just adding more pain to him. And then he gets his revenge, smashing the light bulb, electrocuting his bollocks, which is where we come back in.
Yeah.
So the logic instead is he's getting revenge for this staple stuff instead.
I think it's fair enough that he's done the stapler gun all over his hand and then he's getting a light bulb to the bollocks. I think I never questioned, that's a bit of an overreaction from Richie.
So the way that plays out is finger cut off, staple, I'm stuck, faint, go and get changed, then revenge on Eddie.
Yeah. I know what you mean. He's kept hold of that anger for a while, hasn't he, in terms of the then revenge.
I always assumed that they'd gone to hospital in the interim because he had a bandage on, to be honest.
Oh, interesting. So
Christmas
back
Day.
on that way, would they?
No, that's true, actually. It wouldn't be on at such an obtuse angle.
Yeah.
That's a DIY job, isn't it?
Yeah. I've always loved just going back slightly, the way he wiggles his finger when he first puts it back on as well.
Oh, it's perfect now.
Yeah. You don't notice the cut. I don't think you notice the cut.
Yeah.
at
No,
all.
that's right. You don't notice the things are missing until you find out about them.
I think it is a shame that they cut out the Christmas tree gags, and I do
It's
also
just too similar to the vodka margarine.
That's the thing.
thing.
The setting it on fire thing is what they could have done without with.
Yeah.
But the 50 pence a needle and all that, like that, there's some great gags in there. And I think also just the weather, because that's the only other thing in the Christmas Day tradition that they're obviously wishing it was snowing.
Use of drizzle jokes again.
Because it's so very rarely a white Christmas, isn't it? Even though that's what we're all apparently hoping for.
Richie then hears the door go, which is it's going to be their guests.
Is this where he thinks that? No, it's
No. This is
Sorry,
he knows who it is, and he's fucking angry. Like, I'm going to leave me out of house at home, rant into himself, and then fake smile as he opens the door.
It's such a wonderful switch from absolute seething anger at these people who are daring to come round, even though they've been invited.
Absolutely.
That they're gonna dare to eat the things that he's prepared, to opening the door where you know that they can hear what he said, and switching to that faux friendly fucking shit.
They're not happy
grin.
to see him either, are they? Anytime he opens the door, they're like, oh, there's him.
But then to forget who they are as well,
Yes.
to get them mixed up.
But yeah, he knows their name. He was calling him Spudgun in the last episode, and yet he calls him Dave Hedgehog instead. And then he says it's been ages. No, you saw him last episode. You actually have seen him recently. So was this a thing where they changed the episode order and this was meant to be their next reappearance?
I don't know what the time difference would be between that and Christmas, though. It's obviously a fair while, isn't it?
Could have been years in the bottom universe.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, Spudgun's had a haircut.
Okay.
Oh, has he?
Yeah, he's got short hair in this one.
Shorter hair than in Parade.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, I think it's rude that he doesn't know who they are, but again, I think it might just be that he's overexcited again, isn't it? Because he's all worried about hosting. It's like, it's all going wrong.
Yeah.
He sort of wants to please them, and then they're so horrified to see him because, tellingly, as soon as Spudgun gets in, he says, I thought you said he was going to be put away.
Yeah, what's that mean? Prison or loony bin?
I would have thought he means prison, but actually maybe Eddie was going to get him sectioned.
They've come round, even up to the point where they knocked on the door, they've come round expecting it to be just Eddie and them to have a day of drinking, and as Richie says later on, watching the television. How annoyed and saddened must they have been when Richie opened the door, like, shit, he's still fucking here.
We were promised fun.
Yeah, and I love the Eddie referring to him as her, or she, sorry.
Yeah.
She lost a lot of blood this morning.
Back to husband-wife, yeah.
Can you hear God Rest Ye Merry Gentlemen without Rick Mail? And
absolutely not. In fact, that's how I've always sung it.
And then always just pausing on remember, and then just leaving it hanging there for people. Yeah.
I write it in Christmas cards to my friends who like Bottom, obviously.
Richie gets out the best glasses for the gravy, doesn't he? 4 assorted different ones.
And they're on a tray, prepared though. He knows how to host.
Yeah. Well, you had a little bit of practice from Lady Natasha, I guess.
Yeah, but do you think he was brought up by his aunties, sort of
to be a good host,
coming in, hosting the drinks? That's
probably that probably would be something that the class wars that they've been taught about.
He'll have witnessed it as a kid, where you sort of like the adults all do that once the dinner's starting.
I'm amazed they've even got 4 decent glasses in the house.
Well, they're saved for Christmas, aren't they? It's special ones.
But you'd almost expect Richie and Eddie to be, if they've got guests around, needing to do the Alan Partridge thing of serving something in an aerator or something like that, you know?
But the gravy gag.
I like the way that Spudgun is kind of oblivious to how Richie is in this. We've been putting it down. I'm not drinking that, and he's fucking offended Richie there. Like he's seething, and he's like, pardon, and he does it again. Assumes that Richie didn't hear him.
Yeah,
really like.
But any normal person would think, no, I'm not drinking that. So Spudgun isn't prepared to play along with Richie's insane.
Well, he does. Well, he does because he's kind of warned to play along.
Well, because Eddie then tells him. But if you were a normal person, then, well, I say normal, Spudgun's not, but he's obviously entering and being like, well, no, I'm not drinking that, because he's not going to be told what to do.
But you're right that you'd think by now Spudgun would know what Richie was like and think, oh, this is just the lesser of two evils. So he's oblivious to actually what Richie's like in this instance anyway, whereas Dave Hedgehog is just oblivious to everything. In this one, he seems to forget that he's married, but also you notice then through the scene, he's anyone who doesn't down or throw away his gravy and then gradually keeps on sipping it.
Oh, does he?
Yeah.
Do you think he's pissed, though? Do you think that's the influence there, that he's already been at the bottle all morning?
Because he doesn't know his wife's name and he can't forget it's Christmas. So what's he think he's coming around here for, by the way? Why is he going... What
is his poor wife and family thinking right now? Where is Dave? Where's he gone? He's probably got a lovely dinner waiting at home for him that he's forgotten about because he's too pissed.
It's quite tragic that everyone else is really fed up and Richie really is getting into the Christmas spirit. Yeah. And all the Christmas jokes and stuff, they're harmless and stuff, but I guess it's because this is year 5 or whatever of this happening, you know, and they're just so fucking fed up.
Why do they come back?
For the hope that he wasn't there, I suppose.
Yeah, they just want to sit around with Eddie and watch the telly.
Yeah. When he's carving the Christmas turkey thing and he's accidentally hitting Dave with he'd still got the tray. That's set up really well, isn't it? 'Cause he takes the tray, he sits down on it, he moves the tray, he's holding it, and then he has it on hand. Now, my dad has never been a fan of Bottom or the young ones. He always used to slag it off, it would annoy me. But I remember him really liking that bit, with him guarding the Christmas knife.
Where he's nearly being hacked to death.
Yeah, for some reason he found that bit funny.
That is a very funny physical bit of comedy, isn't it? Because Rick looks really manic, as usual.
Yeah.
And he does look genuinely petrified, and then just the way it is banging, I can see why you'd find that.
So then they do the Christmas pudding stuff, which we've alluded to this already. The effect on it is fucking shit. It's a layer effect of fire that doesn't move, and the Christmas pudding does move as he holds it, and as it wobbles, you see the fire static. It's rubbish.
That's the problem with it. If Rick was able to hold it still, then it might be convincing, but then performance-wise, you'd expect him to be moving. And unfortunately, in order to put a moving flame effect over something, that's expense and time, and presumably they didn't have it. Yeah.
Digital stuff wasn't up to the...
Yeah.
Do you not think it just kind of adds... Do you not think it kind of adds to the charm, though?
Well, not that one, to be honest. I don't...
Well, as I kind of said last week about Peter Ragg's effects, his stuff in Bottom was always kind of charmingly bad. You know,
that's what I mean, though. In sitcoms, classically, this shaking sets, all that sort of thing, like that all adds to why you love it. If it was really perfect, like a CGI thing now, when they remastered Red Dwarf,
that was so weird.
I hate how perfectly clean and nice like some things look now. It's not real to me. It's not funny.
I will say the flame effect is wonderfully over the top in that it literally comes from what looks like the bottom of the pudding. So it looks like a gas hob has just been turned on where the pudding is.
What annoys me more is probably when it then cuts and obviously just the top off and the pudding's on fire that Rick's holding.
The fire has seriously gone down
so
because it's now practical.
Really annoy me that it's so insane and then it doesn't follow it. But then Rick really plays it so well when he's obviously doing his panicking.
Now, what's the line? No one likes pudding anyway. What's he talking about?
I don't like pudding.
What?
No one likes pudding.
What do you mean no one?
No one likes pudding anyway. What are you talking about?
I have only
Christmas pudding.
I have only in recent years been able to develop a taste for it. As a kid, never liked it. Christmas pudding for me is like olives. Hated them as a kid, kept on trying them every year, and eventually you can develop a taste for
I'll
them.
tolerate
Like
it
anal
with
sex.
custard.
Honestly, I'd rather just have the ice cream.
I've always really loved the Sprouts gags, obviously. They're great. Just,
that is a running gag through this episode, isn't it?
Yeah. And there's such a funny word, isn't it, sprouts, when you think about it?
Yeah, it is a funny sounding vegetable.
Also, it's a very sort of traditionally British association, isn't it? Sprouts with Christmas. The potatoes that he cremates, you can tell how heavy they are. A, that they break the plate, but B, there's an outtake of one of them rolling off the table onto Rick's foot and him literally yelling in pain.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So it actually was
There
heavy.
must be rocks, mustn't they?
I think they must be, like large stones or something.
Yeah.
Smashes the plate, rolls off the table onto his foot, and you see Spudgun carry on doing the line, but Rick is like, "Ow!"
Him and Spudgun have a lot of back
Yeah,
and forth
a
arguments,
couple
don't
of
They do.
near misses, don't they? That's
Why doesn't Spudgun just lamp Richie one?
well, he does hit him.
It's after the baby, isn't it? Yeah.
Oh yeah.
He doesn't properly lamp him. It's just
No, it's
such
rubbish.
A casual
It's
thing,
a kind
isn't it? 'Cause
of. I tried to describe it. It's over the shoulder, like someone's behind you, backhand type thing. Richie sells the punch really well, but the punch from Spudgun's rubbish.
Yeah, he so obviously doesn't touch him, and the distance between them is like so big. But you're right, Rick does really sell the reaction to it.
Yeah, but he's got to be stood behind him for that, because it's like, well, you'd have to, mate, isn't it? About I come from a big family. So that's when he breaks, isn't it? Because it's like, well, he's
fat. It's a fat joke, yeah?
actively insulting him.
I think it's time for a word from our sponsors.
Heartburn. For fast, effective relief that lasts. New Bisodol Heartburn. It's dedicated to beat the burn fast.
In a nicely observed piece of action, Richie then switches to the embarrassing dad part of the family, which he's kind of been doing with his Christmas cracker jokes and serving up the food, but he's then the instigator of charades, which usually in any family it's dad insisting on doing charades. Did you guys ever do that on Christmas Day?
Oh,
charades?
yeah, absolutely.
No, it wasn't a Christmas tradition for me at all.
You did it every week?
You know, I think those kind of games...
No, but did you play charades?
I have played charades, yeah, but it was just at parties and stuff.
Right, it wasn't always Christmas.
No.
In my house, that was more of a New Year's Eve thing for some reason.
I see. The film's actually called The Guns of Navarone, isn't it? And he mispronounces it Guns of Navarone.
I can never say it that way, though. It has to be Navarone.
A nice callback as well. And what's next? Sardines. Little birthday episode callback. Last time that the guys were all in the flat together.
Yeah. There's a few callbacks to the birthday one, really, because, again, it's about presents and Richie being excited, isn't it? And,
yeah, there are similarities.
Yeah, that it's a bit small, isn't it? And all that kind of thing is very similar.
Do you notice the foreshadowing when the baby's being dropped off on the doorstep? Ding dong, he says, Jesus Christ, who could that be?
Yeah, brilliant bit of scripting.
Yeah, so I've heard that line a million times when watching the episode, but no, I'd never thought of it as foreshadowing. Yeah.
Have you not? Oh, okay. Obviously, I've always thought it's just the double gag. It's Christmas, and then you swearing as well, taking the Lord's name in vain, and then there he is at the door.
It's one of my favourite door openings where he's just assumed it's a do-gooder and punches him, goes to punch him, but there's no one there.
Yeah.
The confidence of Richie to not even know who's on the other side, but assume that I'm just going to punch whoever it is.
Well, that's how they answer the door to most of them, don't they? Like, that's obviously how Eddie did in Digger as well, didn't he?
And he does exactly that in Break, I believe, the series 3 one, where someone asks about Jesus and he just punches him.
Right, yes.
Yeah.
It's basically what Richie was going to do here.
I wonder why he didn't punch the... Oh, maybe since the gas man. That's their modus operandi then. Just punch whoever it is straight away.
Punch first and ask questions later.
Yeah.
Unless the person has yelled police from behind the door, in which case shit yourself.
So I'm quite surprised at how much of Richie's facade and weirdness kind of just all falls away when the baby's there, and he has a real genuine sweet moment, doesn't he?
He melts, doesn't he?
Yeah, so he comes in with them, and their husband-wife dynamic thing, jokes about abortion and things, so get rid of it.
That classic topic to make gags out of, but it really works.
Also, Richie referring to them as playboys, like they're two swinging bachelors around the town every week, shagging women.
Oh, when he does peekaboo with the baby, I don't know if it's in the editing or whatever, but it looks like the baby is genuinely shit scared, freaked out the first time. Like, what the fuck? Because it is a proper, with real full-on, most Rick Malrick face with cross-eyed, wrinkled hair flapping about. Wrinkled hair?
Wrinkled hair?
His rubbery face all like screwed up, cross-eyed, flapping his hair about.
His flared nostrils there are something to behold.
And then he just seemed very sweetly happy, like, oh, I think he likes me. It really seems a kind of a genuine thing. If only he could keep it up. It's sweet. But it's a wonderful step-by-step build up to the Jesus reveal, the Terry's all gold, the presents. Well, first of all, I want to say, when I was little, first time seeing it, I thought Terry's all gold were cigars. And thought,
really?
Yeah, I'll give it a box of him to manage the chewy ones to chew on a cigar. Is what I thought.
Right.
Well, it's a bit weird. And I just thought, like, no, you can't give baby cigars. But I thought that was the joke. The pronunciation of grr.
Right, I have a slight problem with the grr part. So I agree with you in that this whole thing has been set up wonderfully. They've played a long game with the guys wearing the crown, so they've got them in early so you don't feel like that's set up. The blue towel is there in the basket, and Richie uses that for something else.
The peekaboo.
The peekaboo.
For the peekaboo.
So that's all nicely set up. Then Terry's all gold. That's some very good wordplay. You have the Frankenstein mask, which is very nicely set up, and then the final bit, it's like they went, well, we just need something that rhymes with myrrh. I know, let's just say one of them's got an aftershave and we'll call it grr.
What else rhymes with myrrh? I think that's fair enough as a shit aftershave title.
I think the game's up by then. You've had gold Frankenstein, and then you're expecting it, so that's when we can be silly now. We don't no longer have to.
Because what else would he have had? Have you thought about what it could have been other than a bottle of aftershave?
I'm not writing this episode. I do think it's wonderfully rewarded at the end. When the audience puts two and two together and twigs, it's a very kind of nice moment. You can sense that the audience appreciates everything that has led up to it, and it is a very clever piece of writing in the whole of it.
Yeah. And visually, the way they're obviously just set up in height order as well, gazing over the crib. And then Richie's blue headscarf. Yeah, they're
not hearing him when he's working it out, speaking out loud.
They are looking like a Christmas card, aren't they? They've all got their heads at certain angles, you know, looking down. Yeah.
I've also always loved the detail that Richie does shit himself when he puts the Frankenstein mask in his face as well.
Warning, give him fair warning, and still, why is that scary to you, Richie? I don't know.
Which sort of is supposed to misdirect you a little bit away from the gag until it is then the reveal, isn't it?
But this event finally has brought some kind of meaning to Richie's life. Finally, now all the suffering is worth it, but also the narcissist that he is.
So that's what I mean.
Genuinely the centre of the universe.
I think this is keep being sweet, could he? He had to make it all about himself and that he's special and better than other people, and then lauding powers of getting people into heaven or hell over them and stuff. It's like, well, that's from insecurity and being bullied and shit on all your life or whatever. He's just got a spiteful, lashing out nature to him. But
this is Richie's biggest ever mad fantasy, I think, in any of the episodes, isn't it? The idea that he could in some way have been being kept pure because he is actually going to be like the next in line,
better than everyone else.
Like the idea that
the ultimate revenge and payoff.
He believes it. Absolutely, doesn't he?
He really does.
Just from that sign as well. So again, it's that they're actually really very cleverly taking the mick out of religion.
It's such
because it's that superstitious thing of like, well, these are all the signs, so this must equal that I am definitely like the mother of God.
It's such a wonderful, vain and selfish thing that Matt, as you said, that he doesn't think, what good can I do with this? It's that he instantly thinks, I'm now the gatekeeper to heaven and I can send you to hell if I want. What a selfish bastard.
Oh, it's the power.
Well, I want to bring up a topic for you guys to debate with me. What kind of father do you think Richie would actually be like? And don't just dismiss it as, he'd be rubbish. I think
if he'd ever got his end away, you mean?
Yeah, but just even if he's adopted a kid, because I think he's lacking a lot of love. I think there would be some nice things in there, but he would end up raising a right little cunt, you know.
I wonder if it would be like, for Richie, rather than for the kid, it would be like that Kevin the Teenager thing of the moment he has sex, he suddenly turns into a normal person, you know?
Well, he could stop being quite so obsessed with it, couldn't he? But no, I don't think he'd have been a very responsible parent.
Well, he's, the class stuff he'd impose on the kid would be quite messed up.
We're assuming he wouldn't have lost the baby in a drinking game or a game of poker or something to someone called Harry or Harold.
I think that's what Eddie would do, almost certainly, straight away, swap it for a pint of lager. But no, I've never really thought about that. But what actually has just occurred to me is, do you think Richie's just missed going into the priesthood? In many ways, like, you know how the classic thing of like the idiot's son would have been sent off to be
repressed sexuality,
likes to talk,
and sense of grandiose superiority.
Yeah,
I think he would have made a great priest. He would have been a good father, but in a very different way, I think, rather than.
Well, doesn't know how to change a nappy. He wants a mop and bucket with a bleach.
When he is removing the nappy, and you get the sound effect of what is obviously the sticky tape being pulled.
So sort of the Velcro-y 1, 2, and then
when you hear that first. I think some people in the audience think that's supposed to be the first shit sound effect because you hear them reacting in a way, and then you get the second rip, and then you get the and the guys react to it,
which is just kind of it all splatting out. I suppose is the sound.
Anyone who's ever changed a baby's nappy will recognise that their reaction to that smell is genuine.
What, you reckon there actually was shit in there?
No.
Pope Gavin sounds like some sort of dodgy rapper.
Even Pope JP sounds like it could be as well.
Pope JP sounds like he's a musician.
Pope G.
When Richie's chastising Eddie for drinking while all this Son of God stuff's going on, Spudgun walks past with a fake baby in his hand.
Oh, does he?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can tell the baby's fake in that scene.
Because in the first shot of the scene, obviously he's got the real kid. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, filming, you swap the baby out wherever possible if you're not going to see them or if they're just going to be in the crib or something like that. But no, I'd never spotted that.
I think I only really noticed it on the rewatch. But yeah, you can tell it's like a plastic baby's head that he's got just behind him.
Have you seen the fake baby in American Sniper?
Oh yeah, I've seen that.
It wasn't as bad as
That's
that.
Fucking terrible. Yeah. How enjoyable does that bottle of scotch look that Eddie's downing?
He's got his arm up in a weird sort of Nazi salute.
He's trying to hide it, isn't he?
Oh, is that what he's trying to do?
I've always thought he's trying to hide it from Richie, trying to drink it behind his arm.
I didn't know if it was like a weird drinking, like having a yard of ale thing that you do, But yeah, he's properly chugging that whiskey down, isn't he?
Yeah. Oh yeah. He's completely fed up.
Where did he get that from? How'd that hidden?
Yeah.
Yeah, he must have been planning to have that either between him and the guys or just his own. It's his emergency Christmas Day whiskey.
Yeah. There's so Mr. Harrison then bursts through the door, not knocking.
He knocks Richie in the face. Is what he does in this.
Smacks him in the face.
It's slightly annoying because Rick's not stood in the right place to be smashed in.
When he arrives in Sup, he knocks, but they tell him to go away, and he comes in anyway.
Yeah, but he's still coming through the living room door instead of the front door. And this time he just says he can be bothered to knock.
Yeah.
And you're right about Richie not being in quite the right spot. It feels like they had maybe cut something out that was before that because of the way that Rick seems to be in one spot, and then he's suddenly in another, going
Yeah.
I would never want to be a member of Mr. Harrison's family. They're all either dead or dying.
And he loves to speak ill of them whether they are dead or alive.
Is his kind of catchphrase. Didn't he call his mum, who's dead, a cow?
Yeah, cow, and then stupid bitch is another. And interestingly, though, when his daughter does arrive, hello, flower petal.
Yeah.
So completely two-faced.
What do you think he's like at home? I bet he's a lovely guy at home.
Yeah, he must be a lovely little granddad.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's just showing him off to the neighbours.
Maybe. Richie looks so genuinely upset when he realises that's not Jesus. That's not my kid.
Grandson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It doesn't play up for laughs that he's sad. It just seems genuinely, oh no.
Do you think he's upset because he's losing out on the chance to be a mother/father, or because he's losing out on the chance to be the son of God?
Or a bit of both.
Definitely that.
But I really think, he started off liking the baby before he had the Jesus stuff going on as well. So I just think he's like, he's all these plans that he's been coming up with for the last 5 minutes, whatever, how long this has been going on for, they're all gone. Poor Richie.
Before the baby shat itself, though. I don't think he would have been very happy with the realities of that, because it's Spudgun who's dealt with that, isn't it?
Do you think Rick and Aid deliberately gave Richie and Eddie a happy ending, as it's the Christmas episode? This is the only episode I can think of that doesn't end with one or both of them being hurt.
It's the only episode that's a happy ending.
Absolutely.
And that woman walks in so naively to realise, look at all these people. They're clearly a bit dodgy.
Yeah.
It's like, you don't mind, do you, gents? And what do they think's going to happen, shouting Merry Bloody Christmas, then staring right next to her boobs, smiling, like they're like 1 inch away from her.
Like all their Christmases have come at once.
Yeah.
They both drop down to boob level as though they expect they're going to be the ones who get to have a suckle on those bad boys.
Oh, God. Yeah. Didn't think of that, but it is.
What would happen
framed.
next if it carried on for another minute? Which, no.
A baby.
I think she might have taken the baby and
Yeah.
fed him elsewhere.
Yeah.
I think they ruined it. It's that classic thing of any sitcom character can't really have a happy ending, but they freeze frame it, so we do think they did get to have an ogle.
It's a great ending with them ogling at the boobs of the character Valerie Bates, played by Tina Foley, who only has 2 acting credits. The first of which was in 1982, and then the second and last of which was Bottom in 1992.
10-year gap between
But
the two.
what a shot to end your acting career on.
What was her thing in 1982?
Oh, I can't remember.
Marmalade, Educating Marmalade,
There you go.
in which she's in 3 episodes yet as Good Girl.
How's that podcast going on?
Yeah, exactly. And then, wonder what's happened to little Charlie Biddle.
Who played
Was
the
that the
kid? Who
kid?
played the baby?
I
Yeah.
presume he's the baby. He's called Johnny Bates, and she's
Okay.
Valerie Bates.
Yeah.
Who gets top billed of all of the guest stars?
Yeah, little Charlie. Might have to track him down, get him on the podcast, see if he's still recognised.
So, what are your memories of filming that?
Oh, a cute baby though. I wonder if he was a relative of someone in the crew.
Very
or whether he-
round face, isn't he? But
Very
he does-
round, yeah.
He does look cute and looks like he did Bond with Rick Mail in a weird way.
Any particular niggles in the episode for you guys?
I'd say that I wish they had still included the close-up of the finger before, they had to cut it for whatever reason. I suppose because there's so many cliches and Christmas-themed things, it makes sense that this is one of the episodes they had too many things for. I'm happy with them cutting out the first deleted scene, but the other one, there was little bits in it, and the fire effect, spotted it straight away. As a kid, I'm like, that's wrong. That did bring me out of it, and I don't think that particular naff effect adds to its charm. I just think it's, you could have done something different there.
Do you think that's one of the reasons why they therefore cut the Christmas tree then?
Because
Not just because of the repetition, but because the effect wasn't very
The
good.
effect looks better in the one that's cut, though, because it's on the table, not moving.
But it's so key that Aid destroys the entire Christmas dinner, isn't it, with the fire extinguisher?
Yeah.
So they couldn't get rid of that out of the script.
Yeah,
because
that one's
it's
more plot heavy, isn't it?
So important that he destroys all of it.
My main niggle for this is that fire effect on the Christmas pudding.
I don't really have any niggles with it, honestly. I mean, I think I say it about pretty much every episode, but I think the Holy it's the holy grail of episodes for me.
So, any particular highlights?
Finger coming off. Wonderful set piece, a stunt and a prosthetic. All the effort that went into that one, it paid off very well. The recurring thing of it with the finger being wonky, it's a background throwaway gag sort of thing. So, I know I said I like the close-up, but it's still in there. You still see it pretty clearly. If you notice it, you're really weird. It's very, very noticeable. Pronunciation of "gur" always makes me chuckle. Always, every time. I've seen this episode 100 times.
I was going to say, I think a highlight for me is the setup and then the play of Gold, Frankenstein and Gur. Just, it's a Christmas episode. I don't think I've ever seen anything like it done in any other comedy, because they just wouldn't get away with it, really, would you? That Richie completely believing that the Son of God's arrived. Great plot. Nothing happens other than just inside the flat, and then it builds to this mad... It's just because there's a baby on the doorstep.
Absolute series of escalation, isn't
yeah.
it? Yeah.
And I suppose going back to the beginning of the episode, just Richie coming in to wake up Eddie, and obviously that's another great set piece, isn't it, with the noose and everything, and then the unwrapping of all the prezzies.
I like the fall. Well, you didn't mention this. The fall when he gets cut down.
The rope appears to snag, doesn't it?
And you hear the audience go, ooh, and then Eddie says, oh, that was a particularly nasty fall. And it does feel like a nasty fall, but I watched it back a couple of times. It's not a nasty fall. It just looks like a fall. It's nothing you see that looks bad. It's all sold in the sound effect and
Rick
just
hobbling out of the door.
Yeah, he looks proper bemused and I think he's a bit cross-eyed when he gets up with the nose hissing blood all over the beard.
He gets back in so quickly without the cape on, and he's cleared away the blood as well, isn't he?
Yeah. So with the dirt on the beard, you would think that maybe he's blood from previous years.
It could be.
Highlight for me is that opening sequence. I think it takes the kind of physical comedy of people like the Stooges and takes it to the nth degree. It ends it on such a dark aspect with Richie literally being lynched. And then as he's hobbling out the room with what he thinks is a broken leg, popping his grimy, dirty Santa beard back on, the horrible little pissy bit of blood running down his once white beard is such a wonderful effect and look. That for me is probably my highlight of the episode.
Yeah, being violent to Santa.
Yeah.
Great.
Sound effects.
Sound effects. I think the squelch, you've got the ripping of the nappy when it's being opened, but the noise of the shit as it emerges, that's a very good one for me.
There's not that many in this episode, is there?
There's not as many, I don't think, but they're very, very memorable, and they're new. Well, they're sort of new. There's one that sounds a lot like when he's pushing away the drawers in Gaff.
Is that when the sherry is lifted up and you get the lever
yes,
come up?
Yes, you do hear a smidgen of it.
Yeah.
I can't remember. There's definitely a sound effect that sounds
It is that.
a lot like the drawers being shoved in gas.
I think it's a great klaxon system that Eddie's got set up in his bedroom. Wonderful alarm.
Such great detail as well in Eddie's room. It's just football and, as you say, just crap everywhere.
Yeah.
That's really, really well done to the set designers.
It's a character point. They make reference that he's into football, yet he never speaks about football, does he?
That's true, actually.
I wanted to mention the breaking of the fourth wall when Eddie sighs at the camera.
Oh, in the opening
Which
scene.
time?
In the opening scene.
So, no, when Richie says it wasn't for me, you'd all be sitting around drinking and watching the television.
Okay.
Yeah, the other two don't break the fourth wall.
No.
I thought it was all three of them, but no, it
Only
is
Eddie.
just Eddie, yeah.
Yeah.
Eddie does it a couple of times in this episode, doesn't he? In the opening scene, he gives a kind of grimace to camera.
Yeah.
Then also he
And a ha ha ha.
ha ha ha.
Doesn't he?
Also, but when he does the focus pull on his hand, he's kind of looking directly at camera as well.
The only other thing that I wanted to mention was, because I don't know if we've referenced it before, but just Spudgun. It brings up how often Rick and Aid were happy to give away great lines to other characters.
Yeah.
The Emmerdale gag is in this episode, isn't it?
Emmerdale Farm.
Yeah, they pack a lot more story in.
So much more story. Oh.
That's. I think people. I don't know whether just in my memory, I've always thought that was in the first series when they're talking about the road sign, but it's not. It's in this episode, and it's kind of a callback to the boring chat that Spudgun and Dave actually have when they're left to their own devices, isn't it?
So it's time for a quiz, a Christmas quiz, a bottom Christmas quiz. Guys, what are your buzzers going to be this episode?
Well, rather than jingle bells or balls, it's still going to be farts. So I'm going to go with airy fart, please.
That's what it sounds like. Okay.
And I'm going to go for quick fart.
Fingers on sphincters. Questions coming now. Question 1. Now, Eddie has a load of traps in his room. One in particular are 2 crossbows that fire out rope which ties Richie up. Now, they come out of a chest of drawers. On that chest of drawers is a model of something. I believe that was Paul.
It's the Spider-Man from the chess episode.
Yes, it is a callback of Spider-Man.
Damn.
Oh, I
noticed him in front of the clock.
Question 2. How long is Richie hung by the neck for? Closest answer wins. Okay, who's that? That was...
So are we wanting it in seconds?
Yeah.
All right, I'll go with 20 seconds.
20 seconds.
Well, I've either got to go higher or lower, basically, haven't I? I'm going to go with 19 seconds.
Oh, you went the wrong way.
Fuck.
Yeah, it's 40 seconds.
Oh, okay.
Fuck,
It's
wow.
he's holding his breath for a long old time. Question 3. What time does Richie wake up Eddie?
Right, so I'm going to say it was 6:30 because it's like a minute or so afterwards that you look at the clock and it's like 6:32.
No.
Okay, do I have an opportunity to...
Well, yeah. Go on then.
So I'm wrong, you're saying?
You are wrong.
So I'm going to say 4:30 because then there's the period where Eddie falls asleep and then Richie wakes him back up.
It's 3:30.
Eddie
Eddie says
damn it.
it's only 3:30. No Christmas opening until 7:30.
Sorry, yeah, okay.
Both wrong. Question number 4. What brand of stuffing is in the Christmas presents?
Okay, it's parsley and thyme
That's
stuffing
the flavour.
mix.
That's the flavour. What brand of stuffing? I'll have to hurry you.
Paxo?
Nope. I'll send it over to Paul.
I don't know. I think it's the one that has like a sort of jolly farmer's face on it, but I couldn't tell you what it's called.
It's Costa, weirdly. Probably not the...
Costa?
It says
defunct.
something like Costa on it. But,
Okay.
Definitely doesn't say Paxo, so you didn't get it right. Sorry. Question number 5. What colour is the background of Richie's painting?
That was Paul.
Green.
It is green. A horrible snot green.
Yeah.
Question number 5. What comic is on the TV? And I mean in a literal sense, on the TV.
The Beano?
It is the Beano.
I will admit that was a total guess. And my second choice would... If Andrew had buzzed in and said Beano, I then would have said Dandy.
Yeah. It's one of the compilation books as well, so it's not an issue of it. It's a hardback one that kind of came out around Christmas time. So that is the sort of thing that will be going around.
The annual.
Yeah, that's right. Question number 7. In the deleted scene with the Christmas tree, Eddie mentions an electrician's course that he went on. How long did that...
30 minutes.
Yes. The question was,
Half an hour.
how long did the course last for? And yeah, he didn't stay the whole half an hour. There's the gag. This episode of Bottom is set on Christmas, and it came out in 1992. Therefore, we can assume that it's Christmas 1992. What day did Christmas fall on in Christmas 1992?
Fucking hell.
Wild guess, Monday.
Monday? Okay, you can go with Monday. I'm going to let Paul...
Oh, hang on a minute. What?
Well, I think it's fair that...
Well, you're
But it's
wrong.
not like...
I think it's fair that we both... there you
Is
go.
it whoever's closest in the week?
He's just established... No,
No, you're wrong.
Okay,
So,
I'm going to go for Sunday.
No, neither were you right. It was Friday. You should have... Oh, it's a silly one. Question 9. Spudgun, Eddie and Dave Hedgehog are all portraying the three wise men. What are the names of the three wise men?
Fucking
You
hell.
absolute bastard.
Can we...
Go on.
Paul?
I think one was called Balthazar.
Ooh, yes.
This is going to really annoy me because I should know this. I'm a good Catholic girl. Oh, diddly-diddly.
Right.
No, can't even draw it out my arse. No idea.
Can I get half a point for that?
No, he can't.
Can I get a third of a point?
He's already ahead. Leave
Yeah,
him
but if you
be.
equal, then that third will poke me
Yeah,
ahead.
well, fuck off.
So it's Balthazar of Arabia, Melchior of Persia, and Gaspar of
Oh,
India.
of course.
Should have known that one. Question 10. What is the name of Dave Hedgehog's wife?
Susan.
If I may, we both press those at the exact same time, but
Did we?
yeah.
I only heard one fart,
I could
basically.
only hear mine.
Well, you were
obviously.
closer to it, yeah. It is Susan. What's full name?
Hedgehog?
Susan Hedgehog, yes.
Oh,
Correct.
okay.
Okay, so that is 3 apiece.
Oh, this makes it more exciting, doesn't
All right, so now we've got a bonus question. Fingers on buzzers. Where does Dave Hedgehog misunderstand that the Pope lives? So that was Paul.
Chippenham?
Chippenham?
Can I steal?
It's not Chippenham, no. You want to steal?
Twickenham.
It is Twickenham.
Fuck's sake.
And just pinched it there with 4 to 3.
Woo!
Very well done.
Cool. Nice one. No, well done. Well done.
Well done on knowing one of the 3 wise men.
It's the season of goodwill.
Yeah,
so
season
thought-
of pressing the buzzer at the same time.
So next episode, we're out. We're outside. Bombs out.
Absolutely. But in the meanwhile, enjoy your Christmases, everyone.
Also, in the meantime, if you want to get in contact with us here at Talking Bottom, we're on social media, on Twitter, Instagram and Facebook at Talking Bottom. Or if you want to email us, 11mafekingparade@gmail.com. All comments welcome, nice and nasty.
Yeah.
If you want to send us any season's greetings and good cheer. Otherwise, happy Christmas.
Merry Christmas, not Happy Christmas. I've always hated that.
Have a happy festive period.
Yeah, and hopefully you'll listen to this podcast every Christmas from now on. Doubt it.
We'll do it every year.
Yeah, we'll redo this episode every year.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Bye.